to go there, Eric?
Recording is on.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I guess we get going. We're still missing a couple of guys, I guess. Anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome to September. Anybody know where this? If anybody knows what happened to the summer, let me know, please. Okay. I guess for tonight, what we have is a little bit of a show of our one weekend at Eric's farm. So we'll show that in a couple of minutes. Does anybody else have anything to talk about for tonight? Or want to present or anything? Don't everybody stand up at once. Okay. You're muted, Kevin. You were muted, Kevin.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Echo and all.
Echo and all. What were you saying?
No, I have not so much a presentation, but just a question.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll have a couple of questions later on tonight. So after I finish with this one,
it's a topic that involves radio and cryptocurrency.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Something a little. I just want to know if anybody's been involved with it. That's all.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's kind of interesting. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Let's get started here. I'm assuming you can see that. Everybody can see that?
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Okay, so one weekend at Eric's farm, or why do we even go to these one weekends at Eric's of anything? Well, maybe we'll find out in a minute. But I guess everybody's starting to get used to our acronyms here. We have the one weekend at Eric's whatever. We have one day at Eric's whatever. 1 week at Eric's cottage. So we're getting a few of them there. Maybe we can come up with another one, Eric. Okay, so on the right, the two pictures on the right, that's where Dave had set up his Morris Tudor firmware upgrades. And this incidentally is right beside the barn. It's got a nice covered roof over it. So if it does rain or whatever, we're well protected there. Anyway, Dave has finished, I believe he's completely finished the firmware now, debugged and what have you. It's on, I think, three Tudors now, Morris Tudors now. Edmundo came by and got his upgraded along with, I guess Eric is upgraded as well, and of course Dave's. So if anybody else goes for these, I guess we'll talk more about this when Dave gets back and just see where we go with it. But anyway, so his firmware is ready to go. You can connect to a server, and through that you can, whoever's got one of these with the firmware on it, you can chat with them, around the world, I guess, or even when you're on vacation. The picture on the left is where Eric had set up his IC 7300, his new one there. He still hasn't blown it up, which is great. And we had an interesting little scenario with that rig there. He had a nice keyer going for him there and connected it all up, but it didn't seem to be working right. So Eric went through a bunch of the mechanical adjustments on the keyer and still wasn't working right. You would start off, you might get part of a character in there, and then all of a sudden it just sounded really weird. It just threw you right off. Long story short, Eric eventually reset the 7300 back to factory defaults in case it was some setting that was upsetting the apple cart. Wrecked his keyer, making adjustments to try and cure the problem. And the problem turned out to be, do you want to tell everybody what the problem was, Eric?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it was a much more prosaic answer. We actually just threw our hands up in the air and said, let's just go around the campfire because this is a project for another day. And then I disconnected the external speaker I had. So instead of just a speaker, it was a amplified one of these Bluetooth kind of things, but it did have a jack on it. So I had been using it for just listening and code practice and some other things, but for sideband, no. But there was enough of a delay, whatever, 50 milliseconds or something, that it just really messed up your sending. So when you were listening to the local oscillator in the radio going, it was probably still sending out clean code, but was interfering with the keyer and again, just the whole process. It was even Al Haynes, who is with me, tried to troubleshoot it, said he's proficient at CW. He was unable to send. So anyway, the lesson there is don't use amplified or speakers that have any processing on board on them, because that will mess up your nice sound coming out of it, but not for CW.
No, it was pretty bad. I tried sending a CQ on it, and by the time I got halfway through the letter C, I was now hearing the delay. I didn't realize there was a delay going on none of us did at the beginning, but it certainly was enough to throw you off by the time you got halfway through a character. Anyway, live and learn. So, like Eric says, don't use Bluetooth speakers when you're going to send CW. I debated whether even to put this in the presentation tonight because what do you call this thing, Eric?
A theremin. Come on, you know what?
Oh yeah, theremin. I don't even want to say the word. Anyway, I don't want to burst Eric's bubble here, but this thing just about got thrown into the pool. Now, I think there's only two people in the world that like these theremins, and that's Eric and Sheldon Cooper. So, but I don't think Eric, if I didn't know better, this was Eric at Christmas time, because I don't think he smelled like that since he got the little red wagon when he was 6 years old. Oh, here he is here. So let's little listen here. So I think the volume's a bit low, so you might want to turn up your volume a bit, or maybe like the rest of us, turn it right off. Anyway, here we go.
Okay, it's so cool. So how does it work? It's sending out waves, and as you interrupt the waves and make sound.
Now
are you?
Let's see, Odie's playing. Odie just knows.
That's the dog. Wow, that doesn't quite sound quite right. But anyway.
Well, that's what my whole point, and everybody else's point. I mean, when we do our roundtable later on, maybe people might make a comment and see who actually enjoyed the show.
It's a very soothing sound. It actually it's been demonstrated clinically to provide health benefits.
Yeah, right. Okay.
What a lot of crap.
So, Eric, you're going to be scoring 50s movies now?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Or maybe some new Beach Boys covers.
Absolutely. Vibrations, right?
No,
Anyway, so that's enough of this. Okay, so here's just some of the casts that were there. There on the upper left is Eric, of course, and Al came by with a trunk full of junk, as they say, and although it wasn't really junk. So everybody, I think, pretty much everybody bought something, and then of course Eric cleaned them right out. Dave decided to go. It was a nice hot weekend, especially Saturday, and Dave decided to go for a swim. He regretted it when he got in there. I don't know what the temperature of your pool is, Eric, but I suggest that you get a solar blanket for it.
What actually was a problem is that the displacement was so significant that we had to refill the pool afterwards.
Funny guy. Are you that brave if Dave was here? Okay, and then of course one of the most friendliest of the participants of one weekend at Eric's farm was, and Eric, I forgot the name of the horse.
That would be Quinn, our latest.
Okay,
Quinn.
And of course he's wearing the mask to keep the flies off of him. Okay, and then the upper right is Al, and we decided not to throw this so-called musical instrument into the pool because we were getting ready at this point when this picture was taken. We were getting ready to put my antenna up, so we needed Al brought a potato cannon with him, but we had to thread some light cord through the tennis ball. And it turned out that the antenna on there was perfect for puncturing the 2 holes and then feeding the cord through it. So we did find a good use for that device. Now, this was from another presentation we had, I guess, from last year. I think it was the field day, but I just thought I would throw it in here just so you can get a little bit of perspective of where we are. This is where Eric where my mouse is. This is where Eric set up his stuff here, and Dave was over here with his tutor stuff. And then we're going to come to it. But over here, I think this is a post here where Eric's new antenna was mounted up on here. And this is just, I guess that's one leg of the existing inverted V that Eric has.
The horse fence, that's right. And
Yeah.
also at the bottom of the screen near the wood pile, you can see my cubic.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe we'll load it up the next time we have a one something at Eric something. And okay. So by this time we were getting a bit fed up with it. I'm not kidding you, but Eric was just keep on going and going with this device. So we decided that it was time to get cracking on the antenna and get that up. So Dave and Kevin started work on putting the base together. And then I think it was Al, was it you and I that were putting the traps together? I can't remember now. Or maybe it was Ken. Anyway, work started on that. And
why are you holding me back? I mean, Dave, I'm holding.
It was payback time for Eric in this case. Anyway, so here we are. We're getting there's the Eric had finally finished mounting. It took him hours to get the bracketing all done on the post, and now different guys would move in and out and trying to get this antenna up in place. And here we are, still up and down, up and down. It went a few times. A couple of clamps were not doing the job, and so I had to come back down, replace, and what have you. We had quite a time with some adjustments on this thing. Eric, did you finally get the traps tuned, or are you waiting for February?
No, unfortunately, that was the last thing on my list to do today, and did not quite get done. But I've got some pictures of the tuning as is, so I'll throw them up after you're done your presentation.
Okay. Oh, great. I meant to send you a message earlier today to see if you had them, and I forgot.
Yep.
And did you guide the antenna yet?
No, it hasn't. I need to recut the radials, but I'll talk about that afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. Well, I wasn't referring to that. I was talking about guying that's pretty tall with that heavy trap on the top. Anyway. Oh, here's another shot of the happy crew. And this is just another look at the inverted V that Eric was using. I guess you'll still probably use it on some occasions, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still up.
And here's just a little bit of closer look up of actually what Al was doing. Al was actually quite a bit concerned that Eric was going to catch him, but we all said, "Don't worry about Eric, just do it." Anyway, so you can see how we strung the tennis ball over here on the right with the cord into it. On the left over here is well, these were the two D612 we refer to transceivers that Dave and I are working on. This one here is was the first prototype. That board was never completed 100%. We just only populated the circuits that we were interested in at the time. The redesign of some filtering, that's why that's just sticking out on the edge here. This was the first, second prototype, but it was the first one that was involved, had everything put onto it, and then was going through the full-blown testing and whatnot. The PARC SIGGEN here, Dave and I had ordered a couple of extra PARC SIGGEN boards because we knew this project was coming up, and we had always planned on also utilizing that project as a controller for the transceivers. So here's Al and I getting ready to launch the tennis ball, and it was quite a we had quite a time with this thing at first. In this case here, using the hairspray, definitely more is not better. And it took us quite a while before we finally figured out that just a quick little shot of hairspray into this thing was all you needed. There's a bit of a close up.
Here it comes, Ken.
Yeah, duck, Ken.
Here it comes. Well, we figured out. Probably up over that. Over that rock there.
Did you like that little dance move? And there's the antenna there. We gave up trying to get it up over this area up here, and we just went through this area here. By the time we figured out, we'd already tried, I don't know how many umpteen times, and we only lost one tennis ball. Now it was time to get into the evening festivities, so we broke the bar out. You can see on the left side there that somebody was already involved into the bar. The Zen was donated by Hassan, who was kind enough to bring it back from, I think it was Crete for us. It was, I think, a vodka with a nice flavor in it. It was quite nice. Mundo stopped by and brought a bottle of red. I unfortunately went and bought a bottle of Jameson's. And of course, I can't go without the Guinness. So here we are into the evening. I think this picture was probably around the time that Eric was still trying to figure out what was going on with his rig and the keyer and all that kind of good stuff. And you can see Edmundo there in the background with Dave loading the firmware on his keyer. And finally, Hassan felt sorry for Eric and came over to give him a hand. And meanwhile, the rest of us decided to just join the fire and just have a good old fireside chat. I'm sure we said a lot of profound things. Maybe one time we should start recording ourselves here instead of just taking pictures. Great bonfire that Eric has there. That it's those are quite big rocks. I'm glad I didn't have to move them around. And as inevitable, our lost and found. So I don't know who owns the stuff on the left. And that's my phone charger and coffee mug. That's Al's pen.
That's actually my phone charger and coffee mug now. The swim trunks I gave back to Dave, but the only
I was going to say that Dave's underwear.
yeah. The VNA accessories on the left are mine, so that's not a problem. But the only unclaimed things are the notepad and pen. I don't know if anyone knows.
The pen is Al's because I borrowed it off of him to make some notes there.
And it might be Al's notepad too.
It might be.
You're muted, Al, if you're...
Could be, but I'll donate it to the cause.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's it. So thanks very much, Eric, for hosting for our one weekend at Eric's farm. And, of course, all of our one days weekends at Eric's whatevers. And, of course, most importantly, thanks to Sandy for putting up to us, and her hospitality is second to none.
Yeah,
absolutely.
To OXAEX, right?
Pardon me?
We're going to have to change this to OXAEX, I think, because it's, days, week,
Oh, I see.
Could be 1 month at Eric's,
1 month.
1 year at Eric's.
Oh, God.
One lifetime at Eric.
Well, that's Sandy's penalty. So.
Okay.
I'll gladly move in.
Yeah.
So really, guys, it's an awful lot of fun having these events. So if anybody else would like to can make it out, please put it in your calendar when we start organizing the next ones. They certainly are a lot of fun. Okay.
I'll share the few photos I've got here while we're on the heels of that. So hopefully that appears. Let me see if I can full screen this. No, I don't want to. I want to go that way. I want to do F11. That should be reasonably full, I think, right? So anyway, this picture was just taken, I don't know, less than an hour ago.
Don't see anything.
Sorry?
Don't see anything.
Don't what? Don't see anything?
No.
How about anyone else?
No,
Nope,
nothing here.
nope.
Nothing. Why is that? Says sharing this tab. Okay, stop sharing. Share again.
Is your window open?
Yeah, window's open right in front of me. I see it on my feedback screen here, so no problem. Let's just
Sharing the right screen.
Yeah. No, like in the grid, I see. Oh, I wonder if it's because my video is turned off.
Oh my God. We've been doing this for what, 2.5 years?
There we go. That could be why. Okay, let's try that. No. Oh my goodness. I need a faster computer. That and that. Sorry, just a rookie here. Come on. Wow. You're still not seeing anything, of course, other than mine, right?
What
No.
browser are you using?
Oh, no. It's fine. It's not the browser. It's
Are you using Firefox?
I'm using Chrome, but
Okay. Well, then you shouldn't have a problem.
yeah, I know. That's funny. As soon as I turned my video feed on, the sharing stopped working. So, okay. Oh, hang on.
When you click on the window and then what you want to share, do you hit the share again?
Yeah, I am. And that's still, let's just try sharing the whole window instead of the, still nothing, eh?
No.
No, nothing. It's weird.
This is very strange because, on my photo thing here, it says Jitsi is sharing a window. So I don't
As long
know.
as you clicked on the window first.
Yeah, I did. So I don't know.
The question becomes sharing with whom?
Yeah, really.
Some
So
guy
you-
in China's looking at your pictures there.
Yeah.
So Eric, when you go into the share, like when the second window opens up, the share box window opens up, you actually select window and then click on what it is you want to share and then hit the share button?
So I tried that, and I'm also trying to share just the Chrome tab, in which case you select it from a list on the left.
That's
click
right.
Share, and then it shows on my screen as sharing, and yeah, that's really strange. So
What is it you got? Pictures?
it's just 4 pictures, but yeah.
Is it in one? Well, if you want, you can email it to me.
Yeah. Well, why don't we continue on, and I will work on this on my end. See if I can not maybe just go out and come back in.
All right. No, you're recording, so don't do that. Just if you want, just email me the pictures, and maybe I can present it. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we'll move on to. Does anybody who's here tonight have any comments about that weekend before we move on?
What antenna was it that you were putting up
Oh,
with the trap?
do you remember what it was, Eric?
So it's a Hustler BTV6 BTV.
Right.
So pretty popular antenna. It's got good comments on EHAM if you look it up. Yeah, the only thing is the tuning on it was. The factory tuning was a bit off, especially on 10 meters. We couldn't get it to budge past about 26 megahertz or so. We were trying to get it up to 28, and it didn't matter how short we made it, it would not go past about 26. So a few learns here. I guess I could just, without pictures, talk about it. The radials. I should have read the installation manuals. So Hustler has their instructions, but then DX Engineering has come out with their own little booklet, which has a lot of pro tips and what have you that really made things quite a bit more, I guess, just informative as far as using it and installing, using all the tools that were provided. So a lot of things where they said, don't listen to what Hustler tells you to do. So, but in that little manual, it says the radials get detuned as soon as the wires are laying on the ground. You don't get any tuning benefit from it. So it doesn't matter what the length of radials. However, we had cut all the radials to make them resonant with the bands that the 6 bands that the antenna is resonant on. So anyway, that's a job that's still in the bucket, is to cut those radials to about 32 feet. We made 20 radials, 4 for each band. One of the bands shares like 40 and 15, basically can benefit from the same radials. So anyway, I've got a lot more wire. I picked up a spool of speaker wire. It was relatively inexpensive, only about 10 cents a foot for the radials, 14 gauge, which was recommended in multiple places. So the next step will be staking it down into the ground, so they don't get pulled up by animals or the tractors, mowers, all that. But anyway, like I said, some of the 60, 70 feet radials were a little awkward, stretching out really far. So the little DX engineering manual says put, as many, put at least 20, 40 is better, 60 is even better. So right now there's about 20. They're not perfectly aerate out, but I will get a nice ground plane going here in fairly short order, and that should help the performance of it. I must say the performance right out of the box was pretty impressive. I've done reverse beacon on that 80-meter horse fence inverted V that I have, and it I get spots and all that. It's not bad, but this thing, the first, I think it was on maybe 40 meters that sent out a few test CQs, and I must have had 50 or 60 spots all over Europe.
Cut for 40, Eric.
Sorry, what's not cut?
Like that antenna doesn't even have a 40-meter trap on it.
No, but it's resonant on 40. It's 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, and 80. So it might not have been 40, but I think it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, proof is in the pudding. All kinds of spots all over the West Coast. Like with my inverted V, since it was kind of directional, the lobes, I would only get into the eastern half of the U.S. This I was getting all over both sides of the U.S., Canada, Europe, South America, all over the place. So pretty happy with the antenna, I must say, and mostly happy with all the hands that made late work. So thank you very much for those here that helped out with the cause. Much appreciated. And I wish I could show the dips on the SWR graph. I have a video of it, and it'd be nice if I could show it off here, but the gods are not smiling upon me right now. So another time.
I don't know why you're having a problem with sharing there, but anyway.
Yeah, I've shared the past without a problem. So
okay.
When did you bring the antenna back?
Come again?
When did you get the antenna?
Oh, when did
yeah.
I can't remember. It's probably 2018 or 2019, but yeah. It's been a while.
Takes the boys.
Yeah.
I should have pointed out in the presentation there where I showed the sky view of Eric's location stuff, and there was a big building to the lower right, and that used to be filled with Eric's Dayton treasures. Okay. Any other comments before we move on?
No.
Okay. So a little while ago, I kind of forgot to post some results, but a little while ago, I did a poll on what CAD programs everybody's using for making their PCBs, schematics, etc., and kind of like that. So we got 8 people responded to it, and four of us use KiCad, 2 use Express PCB, 1 uses Dip Trace, although I think I've got him now converted to KiCad, and 1 at AutoCAD. So we need to convert the AutoCAD guy into KiCad, right, Al?
I resemble that remark.
So anyway, so that's what's going on there with the CAD program, or with our CAD programs. I have version 6 has been out for KiCad for a while. I have yet to try it, but I guess I know Dave's been doing KiCad, and he's done a whole lot of his latest project he's done in that. And I think he's converting, redoing the D612, which is now called the Phoenix 612 project. I think he's converting that over to KiCad as well. And I did read something the other day there where they're getting ready to do some, put the stake in the ground for the version 7 of KiCad. So we'll see what happens there. One other note there for the Charlie Morris fans, he's back on YouTube again after a bit of an absence, and he's uploaded a couple of videos on his latest project. So that's kind of an interesting view there. Okay. I'm just trying to think. Did somebody else say so? Oh, yeah. Kevin, you had a question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I was just, I was looking at, I heard about this a little while ago, but I haven't really done anything with it. But has anybody heard of Helium? It's a
Helium, the gas?
No, Helium, the blockchain crypto mining network. And it's meant for this Internet of Things, you know, where you use like LoRaWAN or other ways to transmit small amounts of data. And what you do is it's a radio that runs, I think it's in the 900 megahertz band. It doesn't really say much, but you buy this device, you plug it into your network, and it provides a certain amount of coverage. And these are custom devices. You can't build your own, at least not yet. And then you get rewarded, so that anybody using your data, or they reward you for, you know, giving up some of your data. And the packet size is only 24 bytes. It's not like they're using gigabytes of data. And so part of this thing is that, you know, you have these things and these radios all over the place that everybody has, and they're connected to the internet. And if you have an Internet of Things type transmitter, like, I don't know, your dog collar or something transmits where your dog is or something, I don't know if it gets lost. These things will pick it up, and it'll pick up data. And there's all these companies now that buy credits that allow them to use their devices on this network. So, I mean, there's a website. I can just share a little bit here. Hang on. Oops. I want to do this one. See that?
Yeah, and you see
so it talks about what it is. So basically, and I mean, the only reason I'm bringing it up because it's radio and you can supposedly make money at it, and it's just a way of doing this. And it's so you get rewarded for giving up some of your data. You get rewarded. And what they do is to prevent people from like gaming the system. They apparently periodically, the other nodes around you, and maybe your node will too, but they send out messages that are only decryptable by nearby nodes. So and you say where you are, right? And so if it doesn't come back and say, oh, well, you know, Kevin sent a message, but his neighbor didn't reply, and the other neighbor didn't reply, but some guy in Minnesota replied, well, then Kevin's not obviously in Ontario, he's in Minnesota. So they do this proof of coverage thing to prove that your radio is getting where it should be and all this kind of stuff, and you get rewards for that too. But this is currently the map of Southern Ontario for coverage, which is, you know, pretty much maps any or corresponds to any major urban area in Southern Ontario. Like the GTA is, you know, fully covered by this. And if you zoom in, and this is helium.com, by the way. So the numbers in there, those numbers are the number of nodes in each of those cells. So there's a lot of coverage in some of these places, like 30 downtown Toronto, especially. So anyway, I just wondered if anybody's heard of it, done anything with it. I mean, I've seen some of the prices for they're like, like $500 or something to buy one of these nodes. But then I've also know of some people that are heard of, theoretically, they're making like $60, $70 a month.
How much have you made so far?
Well, zero, because I don't have one. But
What do they cost to buy?
I saw one price was like $500. So it would take a little, it would take less than a year to pay it back. And the cost of your data is, basically marginal cost of data these days is zero. So at least on most plans. Anyway, I just wondered if anybody knew anything about it or had played with it. There's some white papers they talk about, how they're doing this stuff, and they call it the People's Network. And so one of these, where was it? And they're tying it in now to be able to use 5G. So this is a little calculator. If you're going to use it for IoT stuff, say you have one device and it transmits a packet every minute of every day, it costs you a penny a day for that. So that's the kind of credits you'd have to buy, is a penny a day if you have some device that's transmitting one packet. But anyway, so it's very cheap for people that have these IoT devices, because oftentimes the data requirements are very, very low, right? You're sending a temperature or I don't know, or a lat long, like a location or something like that. So you can easily fit that in a few bytes.
So who's paying you then?
So it's the companies that the companies buy credits for, like when they say it costs 1 cent a day. So a company, if they have one device and all that, they would buy so many credits, and that allows them to send so many packets. And when it runs out, then you have to buy more credits. That's what pays the people that run the network.
Interesting.
So it's kind of it's a different use of cryptocurrency, and probably a more useful one than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not, but it just looked interesting. That's all. It's just something different.
You gonna gamble the $500, Kevin?
I don't know. I got to think about it. I did look at my area. There is not. I'm on the edge of a no-cell area now in Stratford. So if I put one up, I would provide coverage to an area that is not covered right now. So that could be useful. So
A monopoly, I think it's called.
well, until somebody else does it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But anyway,
Very
so
good.
that's something different.
Yeah.
Eric,
So
can you put
just to get
coverage
this
map-
straight, that's to provide LoRaWAN connectivity for IoT devices.
Correct.
That's the bottom line of the
Yes.
usefulness of it.
Yes. Yeah, they on the 900 megahertz band, from what I understand, anyway. So
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to have IoT devices specifically set up to use them. But I wonder how much of it is being utilized. That would be the other question.
there was a list. There's a list of companies that use this, and I mean, I don't know them I've not really heard of many of them, but they have quite a list of clients that are using this stuff, and some of them are agriculture, some of them are weather monitoring, some of them are logistics and tracking, that kind of stuff.
Smart
So-
meters, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, the hydro smart meters use that frequency, I think.
Yeah, they do. They're around 915, I think. But yeah, so they're, I don't know. That's why I'm just curious if anybody else has done anything, because, it's not something that's come up, and just something different.
Can you put a link to that map in the chat, Eric?
Oh, sure.
That's very intriguing. I mean, the 900 megahertz band around here there's been a lot of discussion about it just because of the IoT aspects. I thought 900 had gone dead.
No, we have. Isn't there an amateur band in 900?
There is 902. Very much so.
Cordless phones used to use that.
In the chat. So
Yeah, well, yeah, cordless phone. Yes, they used to. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of stuff at 900 that now is wide open. You can do lots in there because there's no noise.
Yeah, the only people who use cordless phones now are in movies, television, like films and historical films. They got to keep the band open for that.
Do they?
Kevin, I'm curious. Do these nodes do they relay like peer to peer?
Yes, they do. Yeah, it can be peer to peer, or
It's a mesh network, isn't it?
From what I've read, it's a mesh network, and it can do peer to peer. It can do peer to back to some server, and it's basically a little SDR. I think that sits and listens to the 900 megahertz band, and then they've got some processing in there and all that. So
cool. So they don't actually do computation for the coin. They basically, I guess, they compute statistics in some central server.
No, it's not proof of work like Bitcoin is. It's proof of coverage. So they use the radio coverage to calculate the worth of the coin that you're doing, because they don't care about proof of work. What they really care about is that they're covering a certain area, which makes sense, right?
So do you get more or less per month if you're in an underpopulated area?
I would think you'd get more, as assuming that the traffic is equal, right? Because if your node picks up more data, then you get so much of your rewards are based on the amount of data. Yeah. So more data, more money.
Yeah.
And what are you paid in?
You're paid in helium coin.
Oh, helium.
But you can convert it to dollars, apparently.
Or turn it to Ethereum or something else?
I think you have to convert it back to dollars and then to whatever else you want. But these days, I don't know. If you think Ethereum and Bitcoin are going to go up, maybe not a bad thing. But what's his name saying that Bitcoin was a hedge against inflation? It's not worked out so well.
No.
It doesn't sound like 60% this year.
Something like that.
So anyway.
Oh,
there's
Is that a little better?
Yes.
Okay, I have no idea. Maybe my other laptop just needs a reboot, but this is my second user, so sorry to switch gears here. But there's the antenna. As Hassan made a comment towards the end of the event, he says it looks like something that should be in Star Wars or whatever. Kind of a cool looking thing with all the little traps there. Looks like something should be on Tatooine, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, that is it in all its glory. I'll try and zoom in a little bit. I've got a more close-up picture of the base, but anyway, that's it. I forget the exact traps. The bottom trap, 10 meters, 15, I believe, is next, and then I believe it's
20's next.
20, 30, and then
80
at the top. All of these are adjusted with there's pipe or hose clamps, I should say, I guess, pipe clamps, hose clamps, whatever there, and then you just adjust the traps up and down, loosening the caps on them, and then the final adjustment for the 80 meters is done with a couple hex set screws, I guess, are in there that you adjust the top of the radial there, but I flip to the next one. There you go. Same thing, just a different angle. That's a close-up showing the radial plate. Sorry?
Did you buy the DX Engineering radial plate with little screws on it?
Yeah, there it is. If you can see it on the screen.
Yes, that's it, yes.
Yep, that's the one. So it's got accommodation for quite a few. I mean, some of them get hard to access if they're at the back, but you can double up and double or triple up, I guess, the number of radials that connect into each bolt hole, and get your 20, 40, 60, whatever. That seems to be the magic numbers, but very easy to tilt up and down, right? It's just a slight lift, an inch, and then tilts down. Support it with a stool or something once it's down. So it's quite easy, actually, just one person to take up and down. I have no problem doing that. So
have you replaced the coax, Eric?
That's actually another story that might come to fruition in a week or so. So the short answer to your question is no, but I do have so what I was using was some 100 feet of LMR 400 I picked up at Hamvention. Straight, using that straight was fine. Coupling in an older piece of coax seemed to take a bit of a hit with SWR. So Edmundo actually put me onto some coax that was being either given away or for a nominal charge. It's up in Bracebridge, Huntsville, but I'm going to be up in that area about half an hour, 45 minutes away from there next week. So I may be the proud owner of some very inexpensive, it's actually Heliax brand coax. So 7/8 Heliax.
Yep.
And so, you know, as Edmundo said, don't use it for a colonoscopy. It's a little stiff, but, you know, I should be able to get it to work. And
how long is it?
The guy actually said he's got 3 lengths of it, about 130, 180, and 200 feet or something like that.
Will a 200-foot piece give you one run back to you?
Yeah, 130 will probably do the job. Like the 100 is just shy, like by 15, 20 feet or something like that. So.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to put in a joiner at the end because I don't think I want to run 7/8 Heliax into the back of my 7300 unless I want to bend off the SO239 on it. So, so this is you can see the dips in the SWR. So again, this is just factory. And sorry, I've got way too much at the bottom end that is not applicable, but you can see the 3.5 meg as the smallest dip at the far left. That's the one that has the highest SWR, but it needs to be, I think, quite tuned quite a bit. So, I mean, everything I've read about this says, you know, once you get the thing tuned just right, you should get around 1.5 to 2 right across all 6 bands. So as you can see, we were getting better numbers than this graph really shows. I think we were getting in the 2 or 3 SWR range when, you know, like I think I was standing too close to the antenna when I took this. There was only maybe a 6 foot or less piece of coax, maybe a 3 foot piece of coax. So that can throw things off. But anyway, yeah, like, you know, you can see the dips, and I guess the bottom one is the 10 meter performance, which actually is kind of funny considering that we couldn't get that shifted. I guess I get that. Well, no, it is shifted to a little bit too low. It's about 26 megahertz is the where that resolves to. So anyway, that does need to be moved up. So anyway, little tinkering still to be done. So, and I think that's all the pictures I've got really. So I'll stop sharing and go back to the grid.
Okay, thank you, Eric, for that. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, Howard, did you have a question for Ken?
Oh, no, I already emailed.
Oh, okay, you already got it. So, okay.
When he responded to the toroids about inability to upload a BOM file to DigiKey.
Okay, so you got that all sorted out?
Well, no, I'll just have to call their tech support.
Oh, okay. All right, very good.
Yeah, your toroids are boxed up to go into the mailbox tomorrow.
Oh, perfect. Appreciate that, Ken.
No problem.
Okay, and of course, toroids that I've ordered, hopefully they'll get down to Florida in a couple of days, and then we'll have them at the end of the month. And if not, it'll be February, guys.
So has anybody heard about kits and parts, if somebody's going to be buying them out or not?
I haven't heard any whispers of it. Although I would imagine that if you put it up for sale, I'm sure somebody would buy it. It's quite a going concern, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope he at least keeps up the calculators and tables and everything.
Yeah, I can't think of another website that's quite like that for calculating out the windings, length of wire, and all that kind of, the resistance or the impedance and inductance, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff out there, but it certainly is handy at his website, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, even so, if he doesn't do it, if he could allow someone else to take his information and put up a website for it.
Yeah. Well, if you look at his stuff there, he still has a ton of parts there. Although when I went to order the toroids, one of the toroids, the cords that Howard wanted, it went nil stock. So it went from having some to none fairly quickly overnight. But anyway. Okay. Does anybody else have anything they would like to talk about before we move on next? No? Okay. All right. Well, I guess we can. Just a little quickie there. We've been doing the first Monday night CW stuff for a while now, and the band conditions have been phenomenal for as long as back as I can remember now, for a year anyways, I guess. And this past Monday we were at it again, and this was the first time in memory where band conditions weren't so hot. I think maybe Phil heard you on 80, was it? And that was about the only one, right?
Yeah, barely could he hear me. Yeah, and I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't hear anything at all?
No.
Yeah, so that was a first. I mean, considering that we were, basically communicating on 5 watts and stuff like that at one point down to the Windsor way with Frank, and then what have you,
and that was all bands too. We started at 10 and went right down to 80.
It went 10, 40, and then 80.
There's a solar storm just this week too. Okay, it was 5 or 6 around Monday, I think.
There was some activity because actually Phil ended up talking to a guy that was, I guess it was in Ohio somewhere. I think it was Ohio.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But he was really strong. Like, he was blowing right in here.
Yeah. So the conditions were working in some places, just not. Well, of course, that was roughly north-south. It was just the east-west stuff. East-west stuff wasn't going so well.
How much power was he running? Was he the guy in PA? Was he running a kilowatt?
I think he just had a 7300, so it's just 100 watts.
Okay.
Yeah, I found him difficult to copy. I could start copying him, and then his fist would do something funky, and then I'd lose track of what he was talking about, and in the end, I gave up. But Phil didn't seem to have much problem, so that's good. Anyway, lots of fun. Okay, nothing else, then I guess we can move on to our roundtable. I guess I'll start off. I referenced to the Phoenix D612 project that Dave, OOI, and I are working on. The name Phoenix came from the fact that we laid off the D612 project for about 2 years, a little bit more maybe. And it's now rising out of the ashes, and we're back at it again. So Dave renamed it the Phoenix 612. So I started, I might have talked about a little bit about a board I was milling last month, but I finally populated this board that I took the circuit that we're using, this LT1253. It's a video amplifier chip, and that's what we're using in this rig for an RF amplifier. And so I built a test board for it, and I've been playing around with that for the last couple of days. So I've been able to actually duplicate the results that Jim Cordich got with his with his LT1253 chip that he did work on for the ANQRP club there with the DDS60 amplifier when they were having a bit of an issues there. So that was pretty good. And I certainly learned one good thing was the first day I spent on the thing, there was a lot of messing about because I couldn't get consistent measurements. But the good news was I kind of knew what to expect. And so I quickly knew that something was wrong, which I guess is a good thing, but it was still frustrating for a day. So anyways, I finally got things to settle down a little bit, and I'm confident in the results that I'm getting. I also did a little bit of work on my data logger project. I've replaced all the jacks that I broke, and so that's done. I need to install an LCD screen into it, the third one, or like the last one to go. and then I can move on to the software stuff. I think virtually all of it's just about ready to go, but there is still a little bit more work there to be done. Okay, that's it for the POA shack, other than to get it back together again. I still haven't got it back together again from Eric's place, but that's whatever. Okay, Al, you're up next on my screen.
Well, I don't have too much to report. I'm kind of in between projects. I finished that regen receiver last month. I've got another one, 40 meter, to maybe work on. I might just jump over from Al. I bought a what was it, a luminescent receiver kit that he bought. It's half built, so I might just dive into that and see if I can't build the other half. But apart from that, it's sort of a lull between too many projects right now. It's well, you know how the story goes. Just like Al, I've got all sorts of these kits that I buy, and I haven't built them yet. So I better start clearing the storage shelves. Otherwise, I'm going to be having a junk in the trunk myself.
You know, you remind me of there was I haven't talked to him for a while, but Ham I knew, and he was an avid homebrewer, and he was telling me, oh, yeah, he's got a bunch of unfinished kits in his drawer that he hasn't got to. And I said to him, and I just started out into homebrewing, and I said to him, how could you possibly have an unfinished kit hanging around? And he says, wait till you're into the game long enough and you'll find out. And he's right.
Yes.
But yeah, when you were mentioning about the receiver there, that's probably the next step. I'm going to go with the LT1253 chip, is to use that as an RF front end and just kind of throw it into maybe the direct conversion receiver and stuff, and see how well it works with over the air signals. Because so far it's just been the tracking generator from the SA or my SIGGEN, just to characterize the board. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Al. Drew, what have you been up to? I think I heard you mention something the other day there. You cured the noise problem, or some of it?
Well, yeah. It's a never-ending story, but I keep tracking down and finding things that generate noise in the house, and I've come to the conclusion that almost everything we own generates noise. And rather than live in a cave, we're just going to have to sort out which ones I can live with. But I had purchased a bunch of 10-inch point of sale monitors, little 12-volt guys, and they work very nicely on 12 volts. But the screens themselves generate a tremendous amount of RF, even if you run them off a battery. And they were generating enough that I could see changes in the noise floor on my radio as I unplugged these things. So it was really, I was astounded at the amount of racket these things make. So there on the weekend, I was able to secure a couple of those ELO monitors off of Doug, and they are medical grade monitors. So they generate no noise, and they are being used now in replacement of the 10-inch cheapy plastic noisy monitors. But
just to let everybody know, when we do our Monday night on-air events here locally here in Kingston, Drew just lives down the street from me, and then a couple of the other guys are basically spread out around town, and Howard's just a little bit outside of town. And it doesn't matter who it is, even with the only person that Drew can hear is Rick, who happens to live about 3 doors up from him. Otherwise, he barely hears me. And
well, you're pretty good on 40.
Yeah. So, but everybody else, Drew can't really hear. So maybe you will, but now that you found some of the noise there, Drew, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Okay, anything else on your bench?
Well, not at the moment. No, I'm actually working on 3D printing out a small cable holder for one of the things that I have an ICOM 706 that I use for all my FT8 and the like. And over some length of time, I thought maybe it would be interesting to put the remote head to use, And the cable for these things is usurously expensive, like, well, more than the radio's worth.
Okay.
Right. So some clever Russian fellow put together a nice STL file and a little blurb on how to build your own cable. So I just literally printed out the cable ends, and it uses these very fascinating little spring-loaded, almost needle devices that you solder on the end of the wire, and that's what actually makes the contact. They're gold.
Okay.
And these little needle things are fascinating, but I can see a lot of uses for them. And they maintain continuity even though you depress them. So they're like a test probe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And they're just a little bit larger. They're a little bit smaller than the end of a point on a compass for drawing circles. So anyways, it's I don't know, I suppose they're 20 gauge, 18 gauge, and a little bit smaller maybe. And you get 100 of them in a bag for like $6. So they're kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with all the other ones, but I got a use for about 16 of them, making this remote head for it.
Okay, so we got something. We got about 90 of them up for sale soon.
About 90 of them, yeah. We'll do it in Bitcoin.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Well, thanks very much for that, Drew. Actually, and speaking of 3D printing,
yes.
Who was it? I know we showed off earlier. Al, was it you that 3D printed up Dwayne's? Who? Oh no, it was Michael. Okay, well we'll come to Michael shortly. Anything else on your bench besides your?
Well, what I've done is actually cleaned up my bench, so I now have a nice empty table to work on. Reassembled my shack in the barn. So no, really, the last week and a half has been just putting things back in place from the one weekend event. So no, not a whole lot to report. Like I said, what's next on my list is tuning the antenna. Getting Al's rig expert back to him. That was the last picture that I showed. So thank you very much, by the way, Al, for the use of that.
I'm glad it's working out.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I think in a post to a group that was on the WhatsApp, that is hands down the to borrow expression my dad uses all the time, the cat's ass of field devices for tuning an antenna. Just the ease of use and the whatever ruggedness, durability. Nano VNA does work for it, but unless you have a large screen version of it or pipe it out to something, or have thick magnifying glasses on, it's a little hard to read when you're dealing with grease and pipe clamps and whatever else, right? So anyway. Definitely the tool to use. So anyway, that's the job, is cutting and pinning down radials and tuning the antenna, and then getting on air with hopefully, well, definitely in time for the next Carex QSO. I hope to participate in that. So yeah.
Okay, I thought you said hopefully when you get on the air you'll be a VE, but okay, we won't go there. All right, thanks for that, Aaron. Oh, and now that you've moved your shack into the barn, I wonder when it's going to be when Sandy gets you to move a bed into the barn too. You're out.
I don't know. She's got some contractors putting in a bathroom there. I don't know what that.
There you go. Okay, thanks, Eric. Hassan, you're up next. Anything on your bench?
On my bench at the moment, I can't even see my bench. It's too much stuff on there. So I'm gonna do some cleanup. I think so. I picked up some copper weld. I was gonna do a dipole, and I got some ladder line. So I've got all the pieces now. One half of the dipole is the wire. I put it somewhere. I have to locate it. But once I do, I'm gonna set that guy up on the side of the house, going from the back of the yard to the front of the yard, like the tree by the road. So that's next on the list. DX Engineering sells some like lightning arresters that are you plug the dipole into one, like the ladder line into one end, and I think it's coax going into the shack. So I'm thinking of picking one of those up. Okay. I'm not sure if anyone's used those.
I don't have any here. I keep thinking I'm going to go buy some one of these days, because quite a few of the guys around town here have used them, and for a while they were talking about it. It seemed like every other day, so that was bringing me into the equation, but it's been kind of quiet lately, so I haven't sprung. But maybe the next trip to Dayton I'll pick one up.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, that's the only thing.
All right, thanks very much, Hassan. And Ken, what have you been up to?
Oh, not much. Well, at the weekend there at Eric's, there L came by with a bunch of little goodies to flog off, and I picked up a QCX 40. So I've been looking at the documentation for that. I've got to get the firmware updated. It's like 10 versions behind, so I've got to get that burnt on, and then I'm going to get myself a set of paddles and start practicing CW.
Well, that's
I
good.
also got.
You gonna go for that Morse tutor that Dave's been working on?
Oh, I could. Yeah.
Actually, we need to talk about, because there was some talk about maybe we would do our own version of it.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait for Dave to get back, and then we can maybe pursue that conversation a little bit further, or just buy the kit from the guy. Was he out in Alberta or something like that?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to take a look.
Yeah, he is VE6 ELK, Alberta.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to take V6 ELK.
VE6. Oh, sorry, VE6 LK.
Okay.
LK. Yeah. Vince Dion from Ham Radio Workbench.
All right. I'll take a look and see that. And what else have I been doing? Oh, I finally dug up my LBS. So I've been going through all the documentation and the different code and everything. I loaded up Dave's version of the code and put it on there, but I haven't really set it up yet. But I want to get that thing done and get it out of the way. I think this winter I'm going to try my best to get rid of all these open kits that I've got going and get the bench cleared off for something more important, like that receiver I have, that Heathkit receiver.
When you get
what's that?
I say when you get your LBS going, let me know, because with the conditions getting better, and I think the LBS put out about 5 watts, so Frank has proved that we can get into Kingston with 5 watts. Anyway, I managed to do 1 contact on my LBS. Not sure, maybe when we get to Frank can let us know how many he had. But well, that's good. And I think Michael's still working on his, or wants to work on his LBS project. So maybe we'll have it. Mine will never see the antenna again, but I still have the board here. It's just it's in pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what's been going on with me.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Ken. Kevin, you're up next, and I know your shack's in turmoil, but maybe you got it half back together again.
Well, I know all my ham radio gear is now in this house, but it's just which box. And anyway, so I mean, I had to get my office set up first, so that's almost done. And so I have a place to earn money and a place to eat. So now it's downstairs to get some kind of ham thing working. So we'll see how that goes. But I have a list of projects like this long. I was just looking at it while you guys were talking. It's like, oh yeah, I was going to do that. I was going to do that. And it's like, yeah, I should look into that. And then I find this helium thing, and it's like, so anyway.
Did
you gotta stop reading
yet, right?
Sorry, Ken, I didn't.
You got to stop reading on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. You got to stop looking on the internet and getting attracted by shiny objects, right? So anyway.
I guess you don't have an antenna up yet either, do you?
No.
Okay.
I just finished moving this weekend, so it's like,
well, there you go. Well, we're not pushing you, but get going.
Yeah, I know. Just like I had nothing else to do. Yeah. Anyway, and I'm supposed to learn Morse code and stuff like this. So
that's right.
Yeah. So anyway,
open that box first.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be a busy winter. That's what I'm looking forward to. Is I have lots of time to look at stuff. So
and of course, you're in the snow belt. You're in the snow belt.
I may have a bunch of presentations. Who knows?
Oh, I hope so. Actually, speaking of presentations, we could certainly use some. We're really low. Just to let you guys know.
Yeah,
okay.
So I mean, not this month's a little bit early yet, but getting into like October, November, I think we could find something.
Okay, we have next month. We've got Dave lined up to his last installment of the rabbit hole and the thing that he's doing, and I think we have Hassan lined up for maybe a mixer, or I'm not sure if it's a mixer presentation or the main one. But anyway, so we got a couple going. But after that, we're pretty thin starting in October, November for sure.
Okay.
Okay. We can use shorts too. We don't need full blown ones either. Shorts work fine as well. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Michael, good evening.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot really. One of the things I did, I replaced a couple batteries on my laptops, and I had them. You know, they go dead, and you have to keep them on the charger all the time. And so eventually I went and got some new ones. And I was talking to my brother about laptop charging, and you know, he was saying you don't let them go below 20%, and you charge them up to 75%, and then you unplug them and let them run down again. And you never charge them fully, and you never let them go completely flat. So I've been fiddling around with that, but that turns out to be a real problem when you got to remember to do that. So I'm still struggling with that, but that's neither here nor there. I had a problem with my, as I was saying earlier before the meeting, I had a problem with my antenna SWRs. I have a 30-foot tower, and cable shack goes up the wall, and the shack's on the second floor, goes up the wall, across the ceiling, across the attic, down 17 feet to the ground where the lightning arresters are, and back to the switches where all the antennas are. And when I did the presentation to the presentation I did on the Nano VNA, I used the Nano to check out the SWR on my 20 meter antenna, and it was fine, nice SWR curve and everything. And then I went back to do it last week, and infinite SWR everywhere, and I couldn't figure it out. I traced it to being what I thought was the cable going from the arrestor on the ground up to the top, up to the switch on the top, and it turned out to be that. And it was very intermittent. It was weird. I think it was probably corrosion on the connector from the arrestor going up to the switch. It didn't look great, and the connector on the SO239 on the arrestor didn't look good either. So I think that's what it was. Anyway, we replaced the cable, and so far so good. And along the way, I had to relearn how to use the Nano VNA, which is a bit of an exercise, but I figured that out. So I have a new webcam, that Logitech webcam that I bought, little tiny one, and I want to figure out how to use that. The idea being that maybe I use it showing things like displays on an oscilloscope properly, and I've got to figure that out. I haven't really done anything with it yet. And the other thing is Wayne lent me a Varactor diode controlled filter, and I want to play with that a bit, see if I can figure out how to use that with the Nano or with the spectrum analyzer, and look at the filter characteristics and see how to do it. But you know, not really very much. I still have to learn how to use the spectrum analyzer properly, and the new signal generator I've got, and just stuff and things. Been very, very busy doing other stuff, so I haven't had a chance to do anything. And one thing, you speak about presentations, I'm going to do the one that I did on the Nano to our club eventually, and I will do a presentation on the Colpitts oscillator, the derivation of the conditions for oscillation and stuff like that. I will do that, but that'll maybe be November, maybe December. Saying which year either. Yeah, you know, later on anyway. So that's the other thing.
I inked you in for December 22. I inked
22.
You in.
Oh, that's too bad.
For December 2022.
Not 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can probably do that actually. I just got to get together.
No.
The other thing I did.
No pressure. Whenever you are comfortable, that's the main thing. Especially if it's a more complex kind of presentation. It's the full one, that kind of thing. Take an extra month if needed.
The other thing Dwayne was talking. We were talking about torque on nano VNA connectors, and Wayne mentioned it. This was when we were talking about the nano VNA, and Wayne mentioned he had an STL or a 3D printing file to make these little wrenches. I don't know if you can see it. I guess you can. Yeah, there it is. And so I got the file from Dwayne. He provided the link, and I sent it to my brother, who has a 3D printer, and he made these little connectors, these little wrenches, and they just go right over the connector. I presume you can see that.
Yep.
And just as Wayne said, when you get enough torque, it slips on the flats of the SMA connector. So they work a treat. I'm very pleased, and thanks for doing that. They're very good anyway. So I got 2 of them.
Oh, good.
So that's about it for me, really.
Oh, what about your
lots of plans? No time.
Did you not say you were going to be working on your LBS project at some point?
Well, what I did, I built the individual. Eventually, I got all the little bits and pieces right up to I think it was the final amplifier and the low pass filter, and I think it was one other board I hadn't built. So I haven't. One day I'll do that, but I haven't done a lot with it. I might do that eventually, but I've got other fish to fry first. But it'd be interesting to finish that. But I guess I should really string it all together, which I haven't really got around to doing it. So.
Yeah, you and Ken can have a little QSO with the LBS together, say February.
Ha! You must be kidding.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath.
No, on this side either.
Okay, March.
Anyway, so that's where I am, and yeah, so I haven't really done much, really at all, other than just odds and sods. Been too busy doing other stuff. Been a very busy summer.
Okay, well, thanks.
Anyway, that's me.
Okay, thanks very much, Michael. Dwayne, how are you tonight?
All right. See if I got this thing working here. Yeah, I haven't been doing too much. Wednesdays are the homebrew weekend, the homebrew meeting weeks day for me. This one first and third, and the Vienna Wireless Society Makers Group is on the second and fourth Wednesday. So pretty much spend every Wednesday night doing that. Vienna Wireless Society has been working on a direct conversion receiver project, and I've been kind of working on that for a while. Decided to go and put it together like that and just do everything in a single Muppet board instead of the individual modules. Right. So I'm going to get that done in a couple of days. Also working on the Farhan's analog daylight radio.
Oh, yes.
And laid out got one board done for that, laying out another couple of boards for some of the other stuff. And I was in contact with Farhan the other day. He's got another project that he's going on for some local beginners over in India, a double sideband transceiver that he's working on for them. I think they're doing it as a club project or something like that, and I just need to get some more information on him with that. And that's about it from here.
Okay, thanks for that, Dwayne. Yeah, pretty busy for me. It's like every Monday there's some radio stuff going on, and a couple of the Wednesdays. So good stuff. Okay, next up here, Howard. How are you?
Good. Can you see my video? I am.
Yeah.
Well, what you and Ken were helping me with, I'm starting to scope out parts for this project. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yep.
So it's quite ambitious for me, but I wanted to try something sort of from the board up. So I've ordered the unpopulated boards, And so now I'm just looking at getting the components for that. So that's going to be a good project for me, and take me quite a while. But I'd like to do something like that from the beginning, plus the computer part too, since it's an STR project.
Are you have you signed up for the groups IO? I think it's called Software Control.
Yeah.
You're on that one? Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about that rig.
Yeah, so there's quite a few people on that, and apparently they sold 400 boards. So I was lucky enough to get the last board set, a couple of last board sets.
Oh,
so
okay.
there's lots of talk. There'll be lots of support for it, and it's all open sourced.
Yes, that's the other nice thing about it too.
Okay. Is that the T41 they were talking about?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear your trials and of course, no tribulations over the winter on how your project is going.
It might be a couple of winters.
Couple. Oh, I don't think so. Once you get going on it, is it? I can't recall. Is it SMT stuff or is it through hole?
No, it's SMD, but it's 1206. So is that the bigger ones or larger one?
Yeah.
Relatively.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another challenge of the project, and that's why I bought an extra set of boards, just in case I damaged one. So I haven't decided whether to buy an air gun or a hot air gun or use it your way, with soldering traditionally. So, but then I have the backup boards if I wreck something.
I'll see what I got for components here that you can practice soldering on. I don't know if you have any breakout boards, but it might be a worthwhile thing to order some breakout boards. But let me see what I got for chips here that you can practice on first.
Okay, appreciate that.
Otherwise, you just order a bunch of capacitors or resistors off of eBay, or I don't know, maybe I don't know if Q-Kits has SMD stuff like that or not. I can't recall. Anyway, we can talk later about it. And then you can do a little bit of practicing there, and I think you'll find you'll get a technique down by hand soldering. Won't be that bad. When do you expect to get the boards in your hands?
Well, they're en route from Texas, so last time I looked, they're still in the States somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it'll be good to see the boards and have a look at them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Howard. And last but not least, of course, Frank. Good evening. We missed you on Monday.
Yes.
Well, you were unmuted for a sec, but you're back muted again.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, Monday was a washout as far as the band goes, so there you go. No, I didn't get online because of other computer problems we had. They were still plaguing me tonight, but I went out and back in about 2 or 3 times, and I'm okay now. As far as projects go, about a month or so ago, I decided to finally finish one of the projects that I had made years ago. And it was a 15-meter CW rig. It was based on a design that goes way back. And I think I shown this at one time. I have built 3 of these things. Where are we? Right there. It's this one happens to be a 40-meter.
Is that the
CW transceiver? I also have a 20-meter is on the same design, and a 15-meter one. Well, the 15-meter one, I was never able to get it to run properly. The transmit output was quite low on 15 meters. My brother built one as well, the same thing, and he had the same results. 15-meter output was low. So I said, good, I'm going to, clear the deck and really take a crack at this thing. And I had already built the case. There's the case for it, all ready to go. And here's the unit that we're trying to troubleshoot outside of the case with all the wires hanging down from it and everything. So one thing led to another, and finally I decided, okay, I'm going to duplicate the transmit section on a pegboard. So there's what I've been doing. That's the transmit section of this QRP 15 meter CW rig. I got it working, but even before I got to the final stage, and this way I could compare stage with stage, and the voltages were the same and all the readings are fine. But the further I got along in building it, and I tested it, every section of it, is internal interference, just cross-band stuff and everything. And by the time I got to the end, really the scope signal was jumping around so much because it was combining different oscillations. And you just don't build a 15 meter rig on a pegboard. Simple as that. So fortunately, when I was playing around the original design, FAR Electronics, the people that make PC boards, they've been around for years. And FAR had PC board, and I've got an extra one. So my next project is to take all the components off of this pegboard, pin board, whatever you want to call it, plug board, and put them in the proper places, just the transmit section. So I can sort out all my interference problems and maybe start to troubleshoot the real issue. What it's boiling down to, I'm sure, is the bandpass filter at the end. I don't think it's tuned properly. And tuning just means adding or subtracting wires on the toroids and squeezing them together or whatever to try to get it to respond in the right frequencies.
You're doing a lot of work, Frank, there just to prove that's the bandpass filter or the low pass filter.
That's right, but you couldn't, it was so tight in there, you couldn't get into the low pass filter, but it's boiling down to that because everything else is working pretty good. Only problem is the scope jumps around all over the place. There's a definite AC factor that's superimposed itself over the signal, and the two different oscillations that combine for the IF, they're getting into each other's way, and it's on the scope, it's one devil of a mess. Anyway, you had asked about the LBS. My LBS made one contact, and it was LBS to LBS. My brother built one as well, and we had a contact between them. Other than that, no, I haven't made anything. That's another thing that I should get back. But I've spent so much time and effort on this that I'm not going to leave it at all. I'm going to go back in it and build it again. And I've become obsessed with getting this thing working. I am, as they call, tenacious. I've been told that I'm stubborn. So there you go. I like my version better.
Well, that'll keep you busy, Frank. Well, hopefully you're not going to spend all winter on it. You'll find the problem fairly quickly. You certainly have.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Frank, for all that.
Yeah. One quick note.
Yep.
Frank mentioned FAR circuits. I read this week that Dan Small Parts is closing doors.
Yeah, I read something about that as well.
Yeah, I've read that.
FAR circuit or Dan Small Parts is gone.
Probably time for the retire.
As far as I was concerned, he was gone anyways because he refused to ship to Canada for years.
Yeah.
So no biggie.
Well, in my case, if I need something from the States that won't ship to Canada, I just send it to Michigan My sister-in-law brings it over.
Yeah. Okay. Has anybody else got any comments, final comments, questions, queries, et cetera, et cetera? Nothing. Okay. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for joining in tonight. Next month, I believe I'll confirm with Dave, but I believe Dave's ready to go with his final installment on the his journey down the rabbit hole. I'm looking forward to this one. I think this will be the best one that he's got put together there. I think the conclusion. So that should be a good one. And other than that, I guess that's about it. We'll catch up with you guys in a couple of weeks. 7-3 from me.
Very enjoyable evening, gents.
Night all.
Thanks very much, Peter.
Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Peter. 73.
7-3, everybody.
See everyone.
Don't forget to turn off your record.
Yeah, just looking at that now. So try not to drop everything here. Recording is off.
Are we, speaking of recordings and stuff, are we up to date with the